Hello, everyone. This is your latest weekly roundup for auction report. This is Tony, who's helping out with the 80 Star Basketball page. Let's dive right into it. It was a busy week, and I'm very thankful for Ryan's video this past Sunday where he went into a lot of items that were ending that night. So we'll touch upon some of those. Getting right into the sales, we're going to start with a few unusual items for me, at least. REA had a sealed 84-85 Star Basketball Bulls team bag. Ryan did talk about this. This is a nice looking card. Slight tilt on the top border, typical centering for left to right on the 101 MJ. But this is a beautiful card. And for everyone to see. It did sell a little bit out of my price budget, so while I was watching this lot, did not even place a placeholder bid, just too much for me. But it sold for $51,600 all in with the juice. This looks like a fabulous card that's going to grade nicely if you ever take it out of the bag. Hopefully the owner won't, because PSA is on the record saying that they're going to be grading PSA. PSA is on the record saying they're going to be grading 84, 85 team bags. So looks like that's on the horizon for next year. Going into other cards, I did see this, and we spoke about this last week because we had a couple really nice 84 Star Court Kings Michael Jordan cards, specifically the number 26 one. And we could see on December 5th, we saw a BGS 9.5, this is a beautiful card. 9.5, you can go into the auction if you want to see more details, but it sold for $36,030. And this is a good one. Heritage also had a few interesting lots closed. Instead of getting into the individual cards, I want to quickly touch upon the partial team sets. So 84-85 set and the 85-86 set. These are near sets because they were missing the Bulls bags. So 15,600 all in with fees. This ended on December 7th. And immediately after, we had the 85-86 set, missing the Bulls bag. So actually, I think it was missing the MJ. I have to check that. But it sold for 4,560. They also had a 86 MJ complete bag. That's a 10 card subset, and that sold for 6,240. So take a look at those when you're interested, when you have time. But these were really nice, especially if you want to build either set. And finally, there were two bags for the 84 Star Court Kings, 5x7. You can see here, and this sold for $7,200. And here we just have our recent sales of the Court Kings card. So BGS 7 sold for 3.3. The 8.5, which we looked at last week, sold for $7,757. And this December 7th sale, this was actually not a PSA 9. It was a BGS 9.5. We looked at that too, and that sold for $36,000. That was really nice. If you get a chance to take a look at this card, I recommend it. For time purposes, we're not going to do it here, but I wish all star cards were graded this strict, because if this ever gets crossed over, it might be one of the highest PSAs, 84 Star Court Kings. This is a beautiful card, front and back. And this is just a closer picture of that card we just looked at. Going into the 101, a few sales recently. We had a BBG 8 sold for 26,333, and we looked at this card recently, and it's a BGS 8. Probably would cross over to a PSA 6 or so if you go in the detail into the picture. This had some conversations on Facebook and Instagram about the card going. Some people thought it went for too much. Other folks thought it went for a little bit less. I would think this was going to be, if crossed over, this would probably be, in my personal opinion, a 5.5, maybe 6 max, just because you got the thumbprint ding, which a lot of these have. A lot to mean, depending on who you talk to. But for me, when it comes to edgeware damage, I do see quite a few cards, and this is regardless of MJ, any of the cards, when they were put into binder sleeves. Sometimes folks accidentally put a little bit too much pressure, sliding the card downward, and you have a thumbprint ding on the top edge border. But other than that, four white corner, about 3 to 4 white corners, without digging too much into this card. Centering's pretty good, but because of that thumbprint ding, depending on who you speak to, BGS 8, I think it's a little bit overgraded, but that's just my opinion. We also had an autograph card on December 7th. I want to take a quick look at this. I thought this was pretty cool. BGS Beckett graded it a 6.5 card, 10 auto. I think calling this a 6.5 card, and I don't mean to be critical of Beckett and their grading standards, but this is not a 6.5. I'm sorry. You have a lot of corner and edgeware, but to be honest, if you're buying this card, you're not buying it just for the card. You're buying it because it's signed. And that's a pretty cool aspect of it. I think it's a pretty cool card. I'm going to take a quick look into that so we see it a little bit closer. So you can see the corner wear a little bit in greater detail on the Heritage site. Oh. Pretty nice centering. Little tilt on the top border, but we see that a lot with this card. It's not a shortcut either. It has the autograph, which a little bit of fading, but it's still a Michael Jordan autograph, which is extremely nice. I won't mind having this. Then we had sales of PSA 7 for 43,200. We had a PSA 7.5 or 78,000. Let's take a quick look at that. This was a strong card. I believe Ryan talked about this too. Wanted to take a look at this card on the site. And if we zoom in a little bit, minor corner wear, that's because it's a 7.5 and not an 8. Don't see any surface issues. Little bit thinner corner on our left side. And if you take a look at the back, clean back, I don't see some of that dirt and grime that the star cards have just from being attracted to dust or staying in a binder that toned over time. This is a sharp card. I liked it. Going on to our next card. And upcoming auction, excuse me. So we have 5 upcoming 101 auctions. BGS 4 at eBay, PSA 6 at eBay, PSA 7 and BGS 8 at PWCC/Fanatics Collect, and a 7.5 BGS at Fanatics Collect also. Just take a look at these cards if you're interested in detail, because from what we know, BGS was far lenient on these cards than PSA, and not just for centering, but also when it comes to surface, cornering, pretty much all the 4 subgrades. Edge. I did want to take a look at this 7. If I was in the market for another 101 myself, and full disclosure, I own the 84-85 star complete set. I do have no duplicates outside of a few random players, but Hakeem Olajuwon is probably the biggest card I have a duplicate of. But yeah, I wish my 101 looked like this, even with the thin even with the thin left to right centering here. This is really, it's a nice 7. And currently it's at 31,800, and that's why you're seeing a strong price for this PSA 7, and this will continue to go up, and we'll see where it lands next week. Next, we have the 195, the USA card, and as we talked about last week, a lot of these have been for sale more than usual lately. And starting with December 7th, PSA 6, 3,120, BGS 7, 3211. We have on December 12th, PSA 6 went for, let me refresh the page here. PSA 6 went for $3,000. PSA 7 went for $5,880 at Fanatics Collect. Some folks were talking about this card too as the sky was falling. It went for a really low price compared to what it's been selling. And yes, like a lot of cards in the months of November, December, January, it's slower in the market. And the way the star cards, especially the Jordan ones, had the great appreciation in the late summer months and the whole month of September. It's okay if cards like this, especially with lower eye appeal, don't sell for at the top of the market. This is what happens. We want organic growth in this industry, and a card like this selling for nearly $6,000 with a 7 that's top heavy in terms of the border and left to right centering. You can see it's very thin border on the right hand side. It's sold for that because of how it looks. Here we have the 288, my personal favorite card of the Star Jordans. 3 sales, PSA 6, 5,280, BGS 7.5, 4,800, and a BGS 4.5 went for 4,000. So you can tell these are continuing to decline. But if you can find a really nice eye appeal version of this card with the dark blue border, it's going to cost you. Coming up, auctions for this card. We have 4 that are not buy it nows. At Fanatics Collect, we have 2, PSA 6, BGS 8. And at eBay, we have a PSA 7 and a PSA 1. So if you wanted this card just to have, you have a PSA 1 option, which doesn't come up too often for sale. So you may want to check that out. Just looking at the corner here, it's definitely a 1, but it might be a nice affordable way to get a 288 in your collection. Wanted to look at the PSA 7 of this card. and it's against a white background. We're going to have to take a look at this on the eBay page. A little bit of edge wear, which is common on these cards. The Pistons team cards have a similar color. That's actually a bit darker blue than this one. And then we have the BGS 8, wanted to take a quick look at also. So for this, the other one was a lower grade. This is an 8, and you can see kind of the differences. A lot of the higher end cards in BGS cases, slabs, they've been cracked already or crossed over directly to PSA. And you can see here corners were graded an 8. I see 4 corners that have edge wear. This is a minor one, but a little bit more on the top left. But you see these 2 bottom corners. This is an 8, but not according to PSA standards. So don't mean to pick on BGS grading, but very lenient on these cards. That's why you're not seeing strong prices for most cards in BGS slabs, regardless of the sport, unless it's ultra modern, popular player, or a card that's just known to be sold in a BGS slab. You're not going to see strong prices. That's why more and more cards are crossing over to PSA. Here we have the 85 MJ 117. There were 2 sales. One was a BGS 8.5 and a BGS 9. Wanted to take a quick look at those and see what the differences were. It's only a half a grade difference. So for this one, this was a 9 centering, 9 edges, 8.5 surface, and 8 corners. Back centering is okay. A little bit heavy top bar for top to bottom centering. Side to sides, okay. So this is an 8.5. It sold for $18.60. If you take a look at the BGS 9, 8.5 centering, 9 edges, 9 corners, and 9 surface. This was sold at Heritage Auctions. Let's take a quick look at this card. I wonder what the surfing is because it seems a little bit lighter on this side of the card, but that might be the baggie. Let's see if this corner is a little bit of red bleed through that we know are on these cards. So without having the card in hand, this might be a little bit bleed through, or it could be dirt on the corner. It's hard to tell in the pictures, but it looks more like dirt on these 2 corners. A few of my cards had those when I bought my set just because they were stored in a binder for 25 years. Upcoming 85-86 Jordan, card number 117. I don't see any live auctions. Let's just do a quick refresh that are not buy it nows. Nope, these are all buy it now still, so nothing has changed. So just wrapping it up, quick reminder, you can check out sites, and there's plenty of them. I don't have any favorites. I don't have any affiliation with any. Just you can go to auction report to see when auctions are. Small houses, medium, larger ones, online, offline. GemRite, please continue to use that as a guide for pop reports. Well, anyway, if you have any suggestions, comments, feedback, please feel free to let me and Ryan know. You can reach out to one of us on social media. You can leave a comment here. I'll read it, and I can also be reached at tj.isonline on Instagram, and my YouTube page is tj is online. Thank you.